What's happening, YouTube? So, the Clippers pretty much had a pretty rough loss against the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm gonna just, dig player by player on pretty much how they did on the performance. So, Serge Ibaka, he played pretty darn good. He was ultra efficient. I believe he had 17 points. He was, being the ideal big man that, the Clippers would need down the line. Plays defense. He could shoot. He was shooting. He was making it. He was pretty much making a lot of shots. I believe he only missed one shot, if I can recall, but he pretty much did not really miss. So that's a really big plus. But unfortunately, it was definitely not enough to you know beat the Minnesota Timberwolves last night. But Serge did really good. So big shout out to Serge Ibaka. Eric Bledsoe, the man who pretty much defeated the Brooklyn Nets. Um, Unfortunately, he did pretty horrible against the Minnesota Timberwolves, but I mean, I'm not gonna let that make me forget how good that Eric Bledsoe did in the past 2 weeks. Although, I know, from the beginning, I kind of was a bit hard on Eric Bledsoe because we traded Patrick Beverly, who was pretty darn good in the Minnesota Timberwolves, but again, hopefully Bledsoe finds his grooves and and does everything. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about Patrick Beverly and major shout out to Patrick Beverly because he was scoring. He was I believe he had 12 points. He was making shots all types of way. I believe he even definitely got some layups over Serge Ibaka, I believe, and he literally drove on Reggie Jackson. He said, "Oh, he was too small and all the stuff." Oh man, why did we trade him, bro? Just why did we trade him? Look, Bledsoe is balling for the last few weeks, except for the last game. But why did we have to trade Patrick Beverly? Like, yes, I get he's injury prone, but even when he's on a darn bench, he brings in energy and all that good stuff here. Like, why? And And people like last season, like they were talking about how we need a point guard. So, oh yeah, they want to trade Patrick Beverly, but I mean, Patrick Beverly playmaking is so overlooked. Like for those people who say Patrick Beverly cannot really play make, he literally got 12 assists. I repeat, 12 assists. Like this man, he has to hustle, and he could grab rebounds too. As a 6'1", he could grab boards. Like man, shout out to Patrick Beverly, bro. Just now, the Wolves are actually, they're not like the last of the last place. Like they're actually, because Patrick Beverly brings in that darn energy. Now, anyways, back to the Clippers. Let's see who else. Justice Winslow was pretty much, keeping us alive in the game. He scored what I believe I could recall 15 points or 17 points. I forgot, but he was slashing in, playing defense, pretty much and his post game was pretty solid too. Like he was pretty much keeping the Clippers alive in the game. So shout out to Justice Winslow. I know Justice Winslow. He was pretty much not it for the past 2 weeks in terms of offense, but he showed it last night. So that's a big plus to Justice Winslow. Um, Xavier Moon, also he did pretty good last night because he was also he almost led a comeback. Like he really did. Like if you watch the fourth quarter, we were down by a good amount of points, like double digits. Xavier Moon he almost put us in a damn comeback, bro. He was making all types of shots and all that stuff. And man, another thing what I really like about Xavier Moon is he actually plays solid defense. Like he would always stay on his opponents and all this stuff, and then whether they make it or not. But that's one thing that I really like about Xavier Moon because he also it may not be scrappy, but he plays pretty solid defense. Um, especially when in terms of on ball and all the stuff. And also look, he may not be perfect on on the stat sheets and all the stuff. But I believe he's a solid, really good, solid role player. Like probably like a TJ McConnell type player. Like he doesn't really make too much mistakes. He could definitely run the point guard for sure. And and yeah, I think he's a pretty solid piece in my opinion. So I think his signing, the Clippers signing Xavier Moon could be a big plus for the Clippers. Like, but yeah, that's pretty much just my opinion on Xavier Moon. I just feel he's a solid piece. Let me know in the comments on what you think about Xavier Moon. Now I'm gonna talk about who else can I think of? Keon Johnson. He actually played more minutes than the Brooklyn Nets game, and Keon he also doesn't really disappoint either. Um, plays he plays pretty hard, plays good defense. His slashing his ability is pretty good. He always plays really hard. He scored like 9 points. I really like Keon Johnson. My personal opinion, I believe Keon Johnson should be treated like as much of respect as Brandon Boston because he's just scrap. He's just really scrappy. Plays hard. His slashing abilities. Like I know everybody knows me because I show a lot of love to J Scrub, and I'm glad J Scrub is back at the game. But I'm gonna talk about that later. But I need to start showing more love to Keon Johnson because he plays really hard, and I really like what Keon. That I really love that Keon is a Clipper, and man, like he's pretty. He played pretty solid down the stretch last night. Um, Morris Senior, he was pretty solid too. Like he played 24 minutes. He didn't really. I don't really recall him playing too much. He scored like 12 points. He was making threes, making some shots. So that's a big plus of Marcus Morris. Reggie Jackson was he pretty much had an off night. Like he had only like 5 points, that's pretty unfortunate. But again, hopefully Reggie Jackson finds his confidence again. Um, Pretty much like, and then we like in the fourth quarter. That's when we start putting some of our 10-day contract players. I mean, we pretty much for. I mean, like I know Wenyan Gabriel got a good chunk of the minutes last night. Um, and my honest opinion on Wenyan Gabriel is um, like if you look at the box scores and all this stuff, like you may not think he's not that special, but I feel like he's also pretty solid too. I mean, for like a small ball big man, like I like his mobility. His mobility is pretty good because he's pretty switchable. His defense is actually somewhat solid. Um, but yeah, I believe he don't score like what he only scored like 3 points or something. But I think Wendy gave us like a solid signing in my opinion. I don't know if he's gonna be on team after the 10 days. I don't know, but I'll find out. We all find out. James Ennis, he only played one quarter for like the last quarter, but he was pretty darn solid as well too. Like he showed the ability of he could kind of shoot the three. His slashing ability is pretty good. Um, his rebounding is pretty good, and he's also somewhat solid for being a small ball big in some type of way. But I think he's more like a power forward or something like that. But again, he showed some flashes of being a pretty good role player. And J Scrub, my man is back in action. Hopefully on Thursday night when we face against the Phoenix Suns, I hope he gets a huge chunk of minute. I'm sure he will. But J Scrub, like, look, I believe that he didn't play much minutes because of course protocol hit him pretty hard. So of course he's gonna be more like on the rusty side. But I think J Scrub he did pretty solid for like just playing like I believe like 6 minutes or something. He scored like 4 points. Um, he could, just try to work on being more aggressive and all this stuff, just taking more shots and all this stuff. But he shows a lot of flashes of being a pretty unselfish player. But it could somewhat be a little bit too, maybe a bit of a weakness in some type of way. Like he could definitely, work on, like being more aggressive and being a little bit less, you know, passive. But that's a good part about Jay Scrub because he shows like his like a lot of flashes of being a pretty unselfish player. But again, it was pretty much too much of a small sample size. But hopefully he actually gets his darn chance. Like he actually gets his minutes because I know that man is special. But that is just my personal opinion. Um, I'm gonna talk about Amir Coffey. Amir Coffey played a huge amount of minutes, like how he's been, the last 2 3 weeks, and he's actually not too bad. He didn't do too bad last night. Pretty solid. Got like 9 points, I believe. Um, did all the little things, which is help, which is that would help. So again, that's pretty much a that was pretty much a good thing in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, I believe that's pretty much what I could talk about as of right now what happened last night. But I mean, it was unfortunate that we lost because Carl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell was not playing, and we still lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves by a lot of points. But again, there'll always be one of those nights. It's just because Anthony Edwards he went off. He dropped 28 points. Um, Torian Prince he dropped what I forgot, but like somewhere like 18 points or something like that. So a lot of players kind of stepped up in their own way. Jaden McDaniels, I feel like he's a pretty underrated player for the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's a really long, lanky, can get some buckets for them and also be good on the defensive side. But yeah, I think this should just wrap up this video. So pretty much to sum it up, last night was a big hiccup for the Clippers, and hopefully, like on Thursday, we pull it off and we beat the Phoenix Suns. And pretty much, as y'all know, go Clippers and peace out.